Wednesday, September what, 28th. We're going to get in. Oh, this is also regular because we're going to have different things in the other class and poetry homework. Download the poetry homework number 3. It's not due until Tuesday of next week. Once again, you have the 3 options. It'll have stuff that will connect and help you out from there. Sorry, I'm all hiccupy. The poems we're going to take a look at today are ones that, first, remember Ingest, the balloon man? The first time we saw it, it looked like it made no sense whatsoever. The ones we're going to take a look at today are going to be sort of that same idea. The first time you look at it, it's going to be all confusing, and then you're going to have that moment of going, ah, and then the learning occurs. It's the joy of how school works. First off, Renee, how many stanzas do I have in my poem?
2.
How do we know when to stop a stanza?
There's a space in between.
Go you. So we'll read this one, and it's going to seem like it goes all over the place, and then we'll break it down and figure it out from there. Gavin, thank you for volunteering by being alive. So you'll read the first stanza for me. Jake, now that you're in the front row, thank you for volunteering to go right after Gavin. So we'll have Gavin read the first stanza, Jake read the second stanza, and we'll sort of figure out what's going on and why it's talking about people and things. Go, Gavin, go.
I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They banish us. You know.
How dreary to be somebody, how public like a frog, to tell your name the livelong day, to an admiring bog.
Well done. I know, strange. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog, to tell your name the livelong day, to an admiring bog. All right, imagine, if you will, this poem is taking place where a kid is sitting down in a class for the first time. And when they sit there, they tell us something about themselves. What are they telling us about themselves?
They're nobody.
Well, what's a nobody?
Their name.
Their name? I think not name. Is that what you said? Would you stare at me? Do you have, in your own words, what a nobody would be?
There's no life.
Works for me. No life. What would we call a nobody here? What? Sure, I wouldn't go that far. I have slow kids who aren't necessarily nobodies. But unpopular, no one talks to them, something like that. And they're just basically saying, I tried to find a picture of me in junior high, and just that would definitely be an example of a nobody. So use your imagination. That's sort of a line drawing of me in junior high. Then this kid who sits down next to the nobody, they ask a question. And what question do they ask of that person? Yeah, they're trying to. Why would they ask if the other person is a nobody? Were they trying to prevent, figure out, go through from there? Chavez?
They wanted to know that way they could be friends.
Works for me, trying to find out if they could be friends. Is the other person a nobody? Where's our evidence, Bainey, if the other person is a nobody or not?
Then there's a pair of us.
So is the other person a nobody or not?
He is a nobody.
Is correct. My other picture of me in junior high. And so they step in and go, yes, that person is a nobody also. Then, do they celebrate the fact they found their nobody friend and high five and do the I'm a nobody dance?
Mm-hmm.
Why, wait, where's your evidence, Beto?
Oh, it says how public like a frog.
Close. We're not the second stanza yet. You got too much learning in you. You got to bring your learning down. Gracie?
Oh, sorry. Don't tell.
What's that?
Where it says don't tell.
Nicely done. Where it says, there's a pair of us, don't tell. Because they banish us. Do you guys know what the word banish means? I do it all the time. Keys?
So take away.
Yeah, would work for me to take away. Wetzel?
Like, kind of like shoo off.
Nicely done. Also, Malloy? Works. Now, the trick is, you guys don't have the power to banish. I do. When I have kids that make poor choices and don't get to hang out with the other ones, I can banish them to the slow kid area, and then you get moved away from the others. Or I can banish them from the room altogether, and that'd be another form of banishment. But you guys don't have the ability to banish. If that annoying kid sits down next to you, and they start going like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Boogie, 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 boogie. And you can't just be like, hey, out of the room. I'm done with you. It doesn't work that way. But you do have the ability to still banish in the 7th grade. even if you can't boot them out, how can you banish people? Tyler?
Actually, I have a question.
Me too.
It's regarding the homework.
Well, wait on it. Speedo.
You could ignore them.
Ooh, that would definitely work. When they start talking to you, you could just ignore them, much like I do sometimes when kids make poor choices. Brandenburg.
You could walk away.
Ooh, even better, which can sometimes be tough if you're in the middle of a classroom, but at least that way if you are in lunch, you can just get up and walk away. But in the classroom, you can't just get up like, oh, this room, I gotta move because of this kid right here, and then just get up and walk. But that could work. Pavement.
Put your hand in their face.
That in my room, that would definitely work. You just sort of throw your hand up in their face because they're definitely annoying you. Jakers. Same thing, the hand in the face. Well done. Keys.
If you have enough B-points, you can boot them.
That is true. If you have enough B points, then you could actually flee from them, and then a couple days later on Monday, just go to a whole different area. Well done. So the idea here is, being a nobody, they're worried about being attacked. If you're a nobody, who are you worried about doing the attacking to you? Wetzel. Nicely done. Now in our poem, they don't call them popular kids. They call them something else. Because if they say the unpopulars are the nobodies, how do they refer to the populars, if you will? Malloy? Close. They do mention a frog in a moment. But that's not the actual term they use to sort of go back to the opposite of the nobodies, if you will. Jakers?
Somebody.
The somebodies. Now, Mr. Brovicast, they don't make it being a somebody. They say make it kind of sound weird. I agree. And you have to wait, Tyler, at the end. I want to answer the question until then. And the second stanza, it talks about the drawbacks to being a somebody. Yeah, you just have to wait till the end. Good job. How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog to tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. When it talks about being popular or somebody, it mentions dreary. Do you guys know what dreary means? Veiny.
Sad.
Not bad. Sad, depressing. Ooh, did you hear the rain that was going on? If you were sitting outside and you were just sitting there and that rain was all falling on top of you, that would be a sort of a layer of dreary. You bring me a gift? I mean, well, not for me, but that works for me. Sydney, they need you down. Office-y area. There. So here it says, how dreary to be somebody, meaning how depressing and upsetting and unhappy to be somebody. Spencer, are you doing the homework?
Yeah.
That's on the Bellwork side. Hey, at least I caught it now. And so they're saying how dreary to be somebody. The idea being, how could it possibly be upsetting and depressing and bad to be somebody? Well, it's those next three lines. Oh, let's back up. Do you guys know what a bog is?
No.
Okay.
Honest of you. Veiny, you've been on fire so far.
It's like a swamp.
It is like a swamp. It's a bog is, you can find a frog on a log in a fog in a bog. And so it's sort of like a swampy area, if you will. What they're saying in the second stanza is how sad to be a popular person. Because they connect it to being, wait, a frog. You know what sound a frog makes? Well, that's, yeah, more of the whole, you guys have ever been out in like the swampy area, they make like the bullfrog, if you will, makes that big kind of sound. They're saying that's what being popular is like. That you're in a swamp making that noise because popular people always have to have other popular people looking at them nonstop. That's what they're saying the whole drawback to being popular is. And if you're in a swamp, you're surrounded by other disgusting critters. And if you're popular, you're surrounded by other disgusting critters. That's not a very nice thing to say. I agree. When we did the nonfiction article, we talked about bias. This one has bias, and it sort of goes against the idea of being popular. Ooh, here's a question for you. Is this poem, speaking of bias, is this poem saying it is better to be unpopular, a nobody, or is it better to be popular, a somebody? We're going to do a show of hands real quick to see what you say. Raise your hand if you say it's better to be nobody. Raise your hand if you say it's better to be somebody.
It don't matter.
Raise your hand if you say, I'm confused and I'm not sure where to go. If we could connect this back to that first nonfiction article we read, where it talked about how to be cool in middle school, from that nonfiction article, where did it say the best place to be was? Malloy. In the middle. In this one, what is it saying the best place to be is? Because if you are super popular, then everyone starts talking about each other and having issues. But if you're super unpopular, you have to worry about everyone attacking you and having issues. Whereas if you're right in the middle, then there's no problems whatsoever. That's our poem. I'm nobody. Once I see the go, I can read this video out. No, but now I know who to watch apparently.
Oh.
Thanks for ratting yourself out. Yeah. I don't care about gum until you start blowing bubbles, then it gets distracting because I just want to punch them really hard. And I'm fighting punching children all the time already. So you guys putting a target in front of you, that's just taunting me. Then, talking about that one, let's take a look at another poem which is going to sound even more strange because it's about a guy that throws frogs.
What?
I know. Birdfoot's grandpa, not Bigfoot, completely different guy who's a lot more hairy. This is Birdfoot, which is the character's name. Mr. Brovicast, that's a weird name. Don't worry, it's going to get even stranger as we get into it. With our 3 stanzas, we'll go through. Wetzel, thank you for volunteering to read the first stanza. It's very sweet. Renee, you wanted to read one also? Oh, thank you, dear. I appreciate that. You can read the second stanza up there, and that works for me too. Kaylee, look at that. I didn't have to be mean to you. You get to take the third one. Ooh. As they read them, here's what I have you look for. 1, freak out. It's not that bad. Where's our poem taking place? Can you find evidence of where it's taking place? 2, who is in the poem? Who are the characters that are there? And then 3, what is the character upset about? Because there's a character who's all grumpy and upset. Go for it, Wetzel.
The old man must have stopped our car 24 times to climb out and gather into his hands the small toads blinded by our light and weeping, live drops of rain.
The rain was falling and mist about his white hair, and I kept saying, "You can't save them all. Accept it, get back, and we've got places to go."
The leathery hands, full and wet brown life, knee dip in the summer roadside grass. He smiled and said, "They have places to go to."
Good job. Go to. I know. Mr. Brovicast, that's really weird. Roll with me for a moment. The old man must have stopped our car 24 times to climb out and gather into his hands the small toads, blinded by our lights and leaping live drops of rain. The rain was falling, a mist about his white hair, and I kept saying, "You can't save them all. Accept it. Get back in. We got places to go." But leathery hands full of wet brown life, knee-deep in the summer roadside grass, he just smiled and said, "They have places to go to, too." All right, baby steps. Where's our poem taking place, Pavement? There's a reason why I called on you. Because of your name.
What?
There's a reason I called on you. Because of your name. Is it taking indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors?
Where's your evidence?
It's like on the road.
Right now.
How do you know? Where's your evidence again?
They're in a car.
Works for me. So it's taking outdoors. See, what's your nickname?
Pavement.
And cars drive on
Pavement.
with me. Good job. And so, see, I plan that out like a genius. And so it's taking place outdoors. And then we have 2 characters in our poem. Bauer, who are my 2 characters. Well, how would you describe the 2 characters? I mean, you don't really have
The guy with like old man.
Good job. We have an old man. And you know the other character? Here's your hint to figure out the characters, the title.
Oh, Birdfoot's grandpa.
Grandpa. Now, if we know we have an old man, and it's called Birdfoot's grandpa, there's a good chance that the old man is the grandpa. So what does that make the other character?
Birdfoot.
Good job. Birdfoot. So your 2 characters, one is Birdfoot, one is the grandpa. What is our weather like while they're outside? Bomb?
Rainy.
Nicely done. So it's all rainy as it comes down. Grandpa has an issue. What does Grandpa keep doing that seems to be a bit of an issue as they're driving along? Brandon Bird?
Getting out of the car and grabbing frogs.
Not frogs. It's really ridiculous.
Toads.
Nicely done. Really different things. He keeps stopping the car and picking up all of these toads. Imagine for a moment. we're gonna put you in the poem. On my desk here. You're sitting at home and your friends contact you because they want to go out and see a movie because it's all rainy and dreary out and all nasty. Like, hey, let's go catch a movie. You're like, ooh, that sounds like a good thing. You go and talk to your parents. Like, we're not going to drive you out right now. We're busy. Like, Grandpa's staying with us. You can go talk to him. You go talk to Grandpa. You're like, Grandpa, can I go see a movie with my friends? Like, starts in a half hour. Your Grandpa's like, yeah, I love your grandkid. Let's go. You're like, woohoo! And you go out there and you get in the car with Grandpa and you're like, all right, movie starts in 20 minutes. Let's go, Grampy. And then Grandpa starts driving and the rain's coming down. And all of a sudden, Grandpa pulls off to the side of the road. And you're like, Grandpa, what do you... And he gets out of the car. You're like, Grandpa... He just goes over there and he picks up this toad and goes and throws it. And you go, and then he gets back in the car. You're like, Grandpa, that's a little weird. He's like, it's okay. You're like, it's not. And then Grandpa keeps driving and then pulls over again. Gets out, goes over, finds another toad, picks it up, throws it off to the side. He continues to do this. Gets back in the car, drives, stops, gets out, toad, throw. Right? And you're like, the whole time. And he keeps on going. How does the kid feel about Grandpa stopping the car?
Terrible.
Why? Zaire?
Because he has to catch a movie and he doesn't want to miss it and he's wasting his time.
Yeah, he's like, you're wasting my time stopping and picking up toads. Plus, can the Grandpa save every toad?
No.
No, he's like, Grandpa, you saved, you get it. There's 3 of them right there he didn't save. He was like, come on now. Now, there's a reason for all of this. One, that first stanza as a metaphor where it says the small toes blinded live drops of rain. It's comparing the toads to something. What is it comparing the toads to?
Drops of rain.
Drops of rain. Good job, Tyler. Why? Well, if you've ever seen a good rainstorm where it has the rain coming down, you have these big old water drops and they hit the ground. When they do that whole everywhere, and like the rain goes flying through it. That's what the toads look like as they're sitting out there on the road. They're covered in water and they're jumping everywhere. Kabloppity, kabloppity, kabloppity. They look like giant, fat, green raindrops going kabloppity and going in all these different directions. So that's why he calls them the live drops of rain. Tyler?
Can I do half the translation?
No. All right. Now, the other thing that's going to be important is, do you know the difference between a toad and a frog?
I do.
Zaire?
A toad is drier than a frog and they hate the water. And frogs are very moist and gooey and they mostly spend most of their time in the water and not most of the time on land.
Not bad.
True, I have.
Gavin?
Toes are better.
Why?
I don't know.
Toads
Well, when you back it up with that thinking, how can I argue with you? Pavement?
Aren't toads bigger?
They can be bigger. Not always, but they can be.
The great bullfrog is
Wetzel?
bigger than
Toads are brown and frogs are green.
Are you just going off the colors I put up there?
No. Well, like toads kind of look like rocks. Sometimes.
That is also true. Because of what toads try to blend in with. You are also correct. Toads are actually land creatures. Frogs are water creatures. It's also why frogs have smooth skin. It's because they like to swim. It's like the swimmers who put on the swim cap so they can go faster through the water. Toads can swim, but they're like when you throw like a small child in the water and the kid's like, ah, ah. That's sort of how they swim. And so toads can swim, they're just not as good at it. Frogs, really good at it. Tyler?
Frogs smell better than toads.
Well, I try not to stiff them, but to each their own. Why this plays an important role is, what is the weather like in the poem? Rainy. Now imagine, you have the road and you have the grass on the side. Between the two is what's called a culvert. And a culvert is this little dip between the road and the grass, and it's like a little grassy, ditchy area. Well, when it rains, that fills up with water. When that fills up with water, if there's toads in there, the toads don't like the water because toads can drown. They're not real good at holding their breath all the time. So as the rain comes in there, the toads flee. Some toads go this direction. Hoppity, 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 hoppity. Some toads go this direction. Hoppity, hoppity, and they get run over. Grandpa sees that. So what's Grandpa trying to do?
Trying to save them.
He's trying to save them. As he sees these toads going across there, he keeps trying to stop and save them. So what the Grandpa's doing is he's going out there, picking up the toads, and then just gently tossing them across. Not like chucking them at a tree for points. He's just picking them up and he's like, "You're free, little toad." And he throws it over there and the toad's like, "Whee!" and then lands, and then hops off with his little toad life, and everything is good. Why would the grandpa do this? Well, one, he's not a jerk. Let's back up for one thing. The name Birdfoot. There's a reason it has the name Birdfoot. It's a nationality here in America, where there are a certain nationality, a group of people who would have names along those lines. Do you know who would name their kid Birdfoot? Baby.
Native Americans.
Is correct. Native American. The Native Americans. Mr. Brovicast, Native Americans don't have cars. Actually, they do, because Native Americans are alive today. They're just not necessarily in this area. And so they still drive cars and live and all those good things. And so his father, of course, named him Birdfoot, and then that'd be his grandpa, Wetzel.
Do they still wear that still?
No. But if I just put a picture of like a normal person smiling at you, it wouldn't quite have the same effect. So I kind of had to go all traditional in the picture. I mean, they might. I don't hang out with them all that often, but I don't think they go to school like that. No. So you're
Could this also work like, because you know how birds eat frogs and stuff like that?
no.
Little hawks and
They
everything?
do, but that's not going to be the connection here.
I know, but I was saying, like,
Now,
that actually.
My question to you is, with this poem, it's trying to teach you something that I think connects to 7th grade. What is it that this poem is trying to get across to you? Or what is it that this grandpa is trying to get across to you that would connect to here, which is why I would choose this poem in the first place? Vito?
You guys are the grandparents driving the car, and we're the toads. Some of us get it the good way, and like we're having school easily, but then some of us are struggling, and you guys are helping us out by throwing us.
I like that. And I would definitely throw any one of you anytime you want me to. I'm happy to throw you guys across a road at any time. Wetzel?
Maybe it's teaching, like, if you chose it because it could be like if you're ever like down or like sad or like down in the ditch, there's always like a way out. Maybe.
Not bad. Going for connecting it to
There's always
the other poem with the dreary. If your life is dreary and you're trying to find the way out and stuff like that. Of the ditch of life. To try and make it a big metaphor. I could roll with that. And the idea, in the 3rd stanza it says, but leathery hands full of wet brown life. What is the wet brown life he's referring to?
Toad.
The toads. In both the 1st and 3rd stanza, he keeps stressing the fact that the toads are life. Because what will many people think of when you talk about the idea of picking up toads? It's gross. And the fact that it's going to pee on you. Yes, that's most people's first thought too. So here he's trying to stress the idea that even though they're toads and they're not people, their lives still matter. Their lives still matter to us. So that's what he's trying to get across to us, the fact that their lives still matter in some way. Even if you have that kid, that's the slow kid, with issues, as Beto pointed out, they are the toads that I am tossing across the road. Because even though they have the issues, their lives still matter. Even though you have those kids that surround you and seem irritating, their lives still matter. And the idea that all lives matter regardless. That's why I like the poem. Speaking of which, one last short poem we're going to take a look at, sticking with my theme about lives mattering. It's almost like a good thing. 1, 2, 3. Bomb. How many stanzas do I have?
4, 5.
I thought you were just trying to trick me on that one. Bomb. It's fairly short. You want to take the whole thing?
Sure.
Go for it, dear.
Little things that
Oh,
run.
wait, pause. Time out. As she reads it, this poem is connected to something that you guys know. It's supposed to sound like something. She'll read it, and then I'll read it. I'm going to see if you can figure out what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to, the way it's written connects to something you've heard before. All right, Mom.
Little things that run and squall,
Quail.
quail,
Uh-huh.
and die in silence and despair.
Uh-huh.
Little things that fight and fall on sea and earth and air. All trapped and frightened little things, the mouse, the
Coney.
Coney, hear our prayer. As we forgive those done to us, the lamb, the
Linnet.
linnet, and the hare, forgive us all our trespasses, little creatures everywhere.
Well done. Little things that run and quail and die in silence and despair. Little things that fight and fail and fall on sea and earth and air. All trapped and frightened little things. The mouse, the coney, hear our prayer. As we forgive those done to us, the lamb, the linnet, and the hare. Forgive us all our trespasses, little creatures everywhere. Before we get to the thing it sounds like, do you guys know what a quail is?
It's a birdie.
It is a bird. It's also a verb. The bird looks like this. They're really easy to hunt because they don't fly. They're on the ground. And when you hunt them, they live in bushes. And in order to hunt them, you just go over to the bush and you go, bah! And they just go, ha! And they just like wiggle their wings and you go, and you shoot it, and now you have a bird to eat. Well, quail is also a verb, which means to act like a quail. So when something scary comes at you, if all you do is go, and swipe away at it, then that's considered quailing. So that's an actual verb. The next one, coney. I know you've probably heard of a coney dog, which is the hot dog that has the chili sauce that's on top of it. Originally, the word coney is something that, well, at least I live in North Point, which is over next to Woodbury and then Auburn Springs. We have an infestation of conies right now that are all over the place, and my dog keeps trying to chase them, and my cat keeps killing them and bringing bits of them back. That's a coney. Yeah. Rabbits, hares, bunnies, those are all the same thing, a coney. And so when they have a coney sauce, it's not because it's made out of rabbit, it's from an old story about something else. But that's the coney thing. And the last one is a linnet. I had no idea. Not linen, like your linen closet where you have to go and put all the clothing and the sheets. A linnet is a bird. Here's my question. Those last two stanzas where it says, as we forgive those done to us, forgive us all our trespasses, little creatures everywhere. What is that supposed to sound like?
Jungle.
Malloy,
I don't know if this is right. Like,
worth a try.
there's this prayer that we used to sing in church. Yeah.
That's the one. That's what it's supposed to sound like. It's the Father who art in heaven, blah, 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 blah. God, give us our daily bread and forgive us all our trespasses. We forgive those done to us. The idea that when, do you guys know what a trespass is?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, there's different types of trespassing. One is the sign that's on the farmer's land that says, if you trespass, I get to shoot you. And what kind of trespassing is that?
Illegal.
Good, illegal. What does it mean to trespass? Does that mean like you can't just like... Nice, done. So a trespass is where you go someplace you're not supposed to. But there's other kinds of trespassing. You can trespass on your teacher's time, where you eat up the teacher's time and you're trespassing in that type of way. Trespassing can be when you, here, now you'll just have to learn on your own and figure out what type of trespassing. Hey, have a seat. Good,
I know what to do.
Stop trespassing on my time.
Go.
The connections to the trespassing you guys get to do.